In today's video, we're revealing the most valuable and hardest to find wheat pennies that collectors dream of owning. Stay until the end. You might discover that your next penny is worth a life-changing amount of money. What if I told you that a single penny, one that looks almost identical to thousands of others, could be worth more than a luxury mansion? Most people toss old pennies into jars, leave them in drawers, or spend them without a second thought. Collectors, however, know that one overlooked coin can change everything. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck, it's knowledge. Somewhere in America, a rare 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny may still be hiding in an old piggy bank, a forgotten coin collection, or even mixed into everyday pocket change. And if that coin happens to feature the right combination of rarity, condition, and extraordinary mint errors, it could command an astonishing price. Today, we're uncovering why the legendary 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny has become one of the most talked about treasures in modern numismatics, and why some collectors continue searching for one every single day. Before you dismiss the pennies sitting around your house, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually looked at them? Not counted them, but truly examined them? Every year, countless valuable coins unknowingly pass through cash registers because people assume every penny is worth exactly 1 cent. That assumption has cost Americans fortunes. Somewhere, someone has already spent a coin that another collector would have paid thousands, or even far more, to own. The story of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny begins in Denver during an era when America was entering a period of rapid economic growth after World War II. Millions of pennies rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint, helping fuel the expanding economy. On the surface, the 1950 appears ordinary. Abraham Lincoln faces right on the obverse, while the familiar wheat ears frame the reverse design. To the average person, it's just another old penny. But experienced collectors know appearances can be incredibly deceptive. While millions were produced, only a tiny fraction survived in exceptional condition. Even fewer escaped the mint with dramatic production mistakes that transformed ordinary cents into legendary collectibles. Those extraordinary examples are the coins that dominate conversations at major coin shows and elite auctions. Here's where the story becomes fascinating. The highest values are not attached to ordinary circulated examples. Instead, collectors compete aggressively for coins displaying significant minting abnormalities. One of the most desirable is a dramatic double die appearance. This occurs when parts of the design appear doubled because of imperfections during die creation. Under magnification, collectors carefully inspect the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." Strong doubling in these areas instantly attracts attention. Another highly prized variety involves repunched mint marks. During this period, mint marks were punched into the working dies by hand. Occasionally, the mint mark was punched more than once, creating overlapping impressions. On a genuine premium example, the D mint mark may reveal clear secondary impressions that specialists immediately recognize. Coins displaying this characteristic often become centerpieces of advanced collections. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine a blank planchet entering the press slightly out of position. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered design, part of the image is shifted dramatically. Depending on the percentage of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, these errors can become exceptionally desirable. The more dramatic the mistake while preserving important details, the greater the collector interest. Now pause for just a moment. If you have an old coin jar sitting somewhere in your house, this is the perfect time to think about it. How many wheat pennies have been sitting untouched for decades? How many inherited collections have never been examined by someone who understands rare mint errors? Those forgotten containers could hold surprises that generations overlooked. Another remarkable error involves die cracks and retained cut formations. As dies wore down from striking thousands of coins, tiny fractures sometimes developed. Eventually, these cracks produced raised lines across the surface of the coin, or even missing portions of the die that created unusual raised blobs of metal. While many die cracks are common, dramatic examples on desirable dates generate significant collector demand. Collectors also search carefully for die clashes. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This leaves faint design elements transferred onto the opposite die. Future coins struck from those damaged dies may display mysterious extra lines or ghost-like design fragments. These unusual characteristics tell the hidden story of the minting process and often increase collector interest. Perhaps the most exciting discoveries involve wrong planchet errors. Although extremely rare, a penny accidentally struck on a foreign planchet or another denomination's blank instantly becomes a headline coin. These spectacular mint mistakes are among the most valuable error coins ever produced because they combine incredible rarity with undeniable visual appeal. Professional grading also plays a massive role in determining value. Two coins may appear almost identical to an untrained eye, yet one can be worth hundreds while another sells for tens of thousands simply because of tiny differences in preservation. Collectors examine luster, strike quality, original color, surface preservation, and eye appeal with incredible precision. Red copper surfaces, free from oxidation and spotting, consistently command substantial premiums over brown or heavily circulated examples. Here's something many beginners never realize. Most valuable coins are not discovered because someone was looking for an expensive coin. They're discovered because someone became curious enough to inspect what everyone else ignored. Treasure rarely announces itself. It hides in plain sight until someone pays attention. That brings us to one of the biggest myths surrounding valuable coins. You've probably seen dramatic headlines claiming that every old wheat penny is worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. The reality is more nuanced. Most 1950D wheat pennies are worth modest amounts depending on condition. However, exceptionally preserved examples with rare, authenticated mint errors can achieve extraordinary prices because collectors are competing for coins that are truly one of a kind. In the highest tiers of the market, elite error coins and remarkable condition rarities have been associated with values reaching as high as $823,000 in exceptional circumstances involving unique characteristics, outstanding preservation, rarity, provenance, and intense auction competition. Such outcomes are extremely rare and are not representative of typical 1950D wheat pennies. This is precisely why authentication matters. Experienced collectors never rely solely on appearance. They seek professional evaluation from respected third-party grading services that verify authenticity, assign a grade, and identify genuine mint errors. Without expert authentication, even an impressive-looking coin may struggle to achieve its full market potential. Let's take another quick break from the history. Think about the pennies you've handled over the years. Coffee shop change, grocery store receipts, garage sales, family inheritances. How many coins slipped through your fingers without a second glance? It's a funny thought, isn't it? We spend more time choosing a cup of coffee than examining coins that might be worth thousands of dollars. Today's market is fueled by more than rarity alone. Social media, online auctions, educational videos, and growing public interest have introduced millions of new collectors to the hobby. As demand increases for certified, high-quality examples, competition becomes even stronger. Wealthy collectors are constantly searching for coins that complete elite collections, and when multiple buyers compete for the same exceptional piece, prices can rise dramatically. The 1950D wheat penny has earned a reputation as a ghost coin among many enthusiasts, not because every example is rare, but because truly extraordinary specimens almost never appear. Years may pass before another elite example with remarkable originality and important mint errors reaches the auction block. When it finally does, anticipation spreads quickly throughout the collecting community. This scarcity creates an emotional dynamic unlike almost any other collectible. Paintings, classic cars, and luxury watches can often be located with enough money. Truly elite error coins cannot. Sometimes there is only one example with a specific combination of characteristics. If you miss the opportunity to acquire it, another chance may never come. Imagine opening an old family coin album inherited decades ago. Most pages contain ordinary coins, but tucked between worn wheat pennies sits a bright red 1950D with unusual doubling, a sharp strike, and blazing original luster. At first glance, it looks insignificant. Yet after careful examination and professional authentication, you discover you've been holding something collectors have searched years to find. Stories like these are exactly why so many people continue searching through forgotten collections every weekend. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or someone just beginning the journey, the lesson remains the same. Never underestimate the value hidden inside ordinary objects. Knowledge creates opportunity. Curiosity creates discovery. Patience rewards collectors who are willing to learn what others overlook. The next time someone hands you a handful of pennies, don't immediately dismiss them. Turn them over. Look for the date. Find the mint mark. Examine the lettering. Check for doubling, unusual strikes, die cracks, or anything that appears different from an ordinary coin. One careful inspection could reveal a story that began more than 70 years ago inside the Denver Mint and continues today in the world's most competitive auction rooms. The coin market never stands still. New discoveries are made every year. Previously unknown varieties continue to emerge. Values rise and fall as collectors compete for the finest examples. That's exactly what makes this hobby so exciting. Every old coin carries the possibility of rewriting its own history. And here's the most exciting part. The next incredible discovery may not come from a museum, a famous collector, or a millionaire investor. It could come from an ordinary person willing to slow down and examine a simple penny before spending it. If this remarkable story changed the way you look at pocket change, make sure you stay with us, because our next episode explores another astonishing American coin that has shocked collectors with its rarity, mysterious minting errors, and breathtaking auction prices. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next hidden treasure that could still be waiting in circulation. Have you ever dumped a handful of pennies into a vending machine without giving them a second thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking coins was actually worth more than a luxury mansion? Most people spend their pocket change without a second glance. Collectors do the exact opposite. They slow down, inspect every detail, and sometimes discover life-changing treasures hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatics, the 1936 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. While most examples are common, a tiny number with exceptional condition or dramatic mint errors have become legendary among collectors. Some extraordinary specimens and unique error combinations have been valued at astonishing prices, with sensational claims reaching as high as $943,000 for exceptional, one-of-a-kind examples if they meet the highest standards of rarity, preservation, and market demand. Before you dismiss the pennies sitting in your drawer, you may want to watch until the very end. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. Every day, millions of pennies pass through countless hands. Almost everyone sees only 1 cent. A serious collector sees history, craftsmanship, and sometimes an overlooked fortune. That's why the humble 1936 Lincoln Wheat Penny continues to attract attention decades after it left the Philadelphia Mint. On the surface, it appears ordinary. No mint mark. Abraham Lincoln on the front. Wheat ears on the reverse. Nothing seems unusual. Yet hidden beneath that familiar design are details that can completely transform its value. Let's travel back to 1936. America was still climbing out of the Great Depression. The nation was rebuilding, industries were expanding again, and the United States Mint was striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln Wheat pennies to support a growing economy. The Philadelphia Mint produced these coins without placing a mint mark beneath the date. That is why collectors refer to them as no mint mark examples. Most survived in circulation for years, becoming worn and ordinary. But a microscopic number escaped with remarkable quality, unusual striking characteristics, or fascinating mint errors that now command incredible attention. Here's something that surprises many people. Age alone doesn't make a coin valuable. Millions of 1936 pennies were produced. What separates an ordinary coin worth only a few cents from one worth thousands, or potentially much more, is a combination of rarity, preservation, eye appeal, and significant mint errors. When all those factors align, the market responds aggressively. Before we continue, take 30 seconds. Seriously, if you have a coin jar, an old piggy bank, or a forgotten box of coins from your parents or grandparents, check it after this video. You never know what might be waiting there. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. One of the most desirable varieties is a dramatic double die. This occurs during the die creation process, not because the coin was struck twice. On a genuine double die, you'll notice clear doubling on parts of the date, the lettering such as Liberty or the motto In God We Trust. The doubling appears as distinct, separated images rather than simple machine vibration. Collectors pay enormous premiums for authentic double die varieties because they represent a mistake that originated during die manufacturing itself. Another highly desirable feature is an off-center strike. During production, if the blank planchet isn't perfectly positioned beneath the dies, the design can be struck noticeably off-center. The most valuable examples retain a complete date while displaying a dramatic shift in the design. The greater the off-center percentage without losing the date, the more attention the coin often receives from collectors. Then there are broad strikes. These occur when the retaining collar fails to hold the planchet during striking. Without the collar restricting expansion, the coin spreads outward, creating a larger diameter with missing or distorted rims. A genuine broad strike is immediately recognizable to experienced collectors and can significantly increase value. Collectors also search for die cracks and retained die breaks. As dies age under tremendous striking pressure, tiny fractures develop. These fractures transfer raised lines or unusual features onto every coin struck afterward. Some die cracks are minor, while others become dramatic enough to earn colorful nicknames among specialists. Coins struck from late-stage dies often tell the story of a tool reaching the end of its useful life. Another fascinating possibility is a clipped planchet error. Before striking, coin blanks are punched from long sheets of metal. Occasionally, a blank is cut from an area overlapping a previous punch, leaving a curved section missing from the finished coin. Genuine clipped planchets display specific characteristics that experts use to separate real mint errors from later damage. Here's an important reality check. Not every unusual-looking penny is valuable. Scratches, corrosion, environmental damage, polishing, filing, and alterations after the coin left the mint usually reduce value rather than increase it. That's why authentication is essential before assuming you've found a fortune. Now comes the question everyone asks. How can a single penny possibly approach hundreds of thousands of dollars? Imagine a 1936 no-mint mark wheat penny preserved in extraordinary mint state condition, displaying blazing original luster, nearly flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strike quality, and perhaps an exceptional, well-documented mint error or an extraordinarily rare die variety. Add fierce competition between elite collectors at a major auction, and prices can escalate rapidly. In the coin market, uniqueness creates opportunity. The fewer examples that exist in comparable quality, the more aggressively collectors compete. Professional grading services carefully evaluate every detail of a coin's condition. Tiny differences invisible to casual observers can dramatically affect value. The distinction between an average circulated example and an elite mint state specimen may represent the difference between a modest collectible and a truly extraordinary investment quality coin. Here's another attention reset. Think about this for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Tens of thousands? Now imagine discovering that one coin everyone ignored turned out to be the one collectors had been searching for. That's exactly why experienced numismatists never stop looking. The market for rare coins has evolved dramatically over the past several years. Serious collectors appreciate tangible historical assets that cannot simply be manufactured on demand. Every time an exceptional Lincoln Wheat penny appears at auction, interest spreads quickly through the collecting community. Competitive bidding often reflects not only rarity but also the emotional connection collectors feel toward iconic American coins. One of the biggest misconceptions is that every old coin automatically becomes valuable. That's simply not true. Condition remains king. Original mint luster, strong details, attractive color, and untouched surfaces separate elite examples from ordinary survivors. A coin that has been cleaned, polished, or improperly stored may lose much of its collector appeal, even if it is genuinely old. If you think you've found something special, resist the temptation to clean it. That may sound strange, but cleaning usually damages the original surfaces collectors prize most. Even a soft cloth can leave microscopic hairlines that permanently reduce value. The safest approach is to handle the coin carefully by its edges and store it in a protective holder until it can be evaluated by an expert. Here's something else worth remembering. Some of the greatest coin discoveries didn't happen inside museums or vaults. They were found in inherited collections, forgotten coffee cans, old dresser drawers, estate sales, and jars of loose change that families had ignored for decades. Hidden wealth doesn't always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes it hides behind ordinary copper. So, where does the headline figure of $943,000 come from? It's important to understand that such an extraordinary valuation would require an exceptionally rare combination of factors, such as a unique or nearly unique error, elite certified condition, impeccable authenticity, and intense bidding from multiple advanced collectors. The vast majority of 1936 no-mint mark wheat pennies are worth far less. However, the possibility of discovering an extraordinary specimen is exactly what keeps collectors searching year after year. That possibility fuels the excitement of the hobby. Every roll of pennies represents a mystery. Every inherited collection holds unanswered questions. Every forgotten coin jar deserves another look. Most searches won't uncover a six-figure treasure, but every remarkable discovery begins with someone deciding to inspect one more coin instead of spending it. Before you put away your spare change tonight, take another look at every 1936 Lincoln Wheat penny you find. Check for sharp doubling. Look carefully for unusual strike characteristics. Examine the rims, the lettering, the date, and the overall preservation. Compare what you see with verified reference images, and seek professional authentication if something appears truly unusual. A few minutes of careful inspection could reveal a coin with far greater significance than its face value suggests. The story of the 1936 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes history hides in plain sight. Sometimes the smallest object carries the greatest story. And sometimes a single penny can inspire a lifetime of collecting, learning, and discovery. But here's the question that should keep every collector awake tonight. If an ordinary-looking penny can become one of the hobby's most talked-about treasures under the right circumstances, what other forgotten coins are quietly waiting to be discovered? Make sure you're here for our next episode, because we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin with an unbelievable history, extraordinary mint errors, and a market value that has stunned even seasoned collectors. You won't want to miss what could be hiding in your pocket next. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out what looks like an ordinary old penny, and unknowingly spending a coin that could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It sounds impossible, yet stories like this have happened more than once in the world of coin collecting. Every day, millions of Americans hand over old pennies without giving them a second glance, while experienced collectors carefully inspect every date, mint mark, and tiny detail. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck, it's knowledge. And today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating coins that continues to capture attention among collectors. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Under the right circumstances, and especially if it features an exceptionally rare mint error combined with outstanding preservation, a single coin can become the centerpiece of a high-end collection. Before you dismiss that jar of old pennies sitting in your home, you may want to think twice, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you look at pocket change forever. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced at the famous San Francisco Mint during the final years of the classic wheat cent series. America was entering a period of rapid economic growth after World War II, and billions of cents were being struck to meet the nation's expanding commerce. On the surface, the 1951 appears to be a common coin. More than 136 million examples were minted, making it seem unlikely that any would ever command extraordinary prices. However, seasoned numismatists know that rarity is rarely determined by mintage alone. The true value of a coin often depends on survival, condition, and most importantly, the presence of extraordinary minting errors that escaped into circulation decades ago. This is where the story becomes truly fascinating. Most 1951 wheat pennies have lived hard lives. They passed through countless cash registers, vending machines, piggy banks, and pockets for decades before eventually disappearing into circulation forever. Only a tiny percentage survived in pristine condition, and an even smaller number display significant minting errors. These unusual pieces have become what many collectors refer to as ghost coins. Coins that everyone has heard about, but very few people have actually seen in person. When one finally appears at auction, it immediately attracts attention from serious collectors across the country. Now here's something that many people never realize. Go check your old coin jar right now. Seriously, it only takes a minute. That forgotten container sitting in a drawer or tucked away in a closet might contain wheat pennies that have been untouched for decades. While the odds of finding a major rarity are small, collectors have discovered valuable coins in inherited collections, estate sales, and even old coffee cans filled with loose change. Every valuable discovery begins with someone deciding to take a closer look. One of the most desirable characteristics on a 1951 wheat penny is a dramatic repunched mint mark, often abbreviated as RPM. During the early 1950s, mint marks were punched into working dies by hand before production began. Occasionally, the first punch was slightly misplaced, requiring another strike to reposition the mint mark correctly. If both impressions remained visible on the die, every coin struck from that die displayed evidence of the mistake. Under magnification, collectors can see extra outlines or secondary impressions around the S mint mark. These varieties are highly collectible because they represent genuine mistakes made during the minting process rather than damage that occurred after the coin entered circulation. Another highly sought-after feature is a strong double die variety. A double die occurs during the creation of the die itself, when design elements receive multiple slightly offset impressions. This can produce noticeable doubling on lettering, numbers, or Lincoln's portrait. Genuine double dies display clear separation rather than simple machine doubling, and they remain among the most respected varieties in American numismatics. Although confirmed major double dies for the 1951s are extremely scarce, any authenticated example immediately becomes a major attraction within the collecting community. Off-center strikes also generate enormous excitement. During production, if the planchet was not properly centered beneath the striking dies, part of the design failed to appear on the finished coin. Depending on how dramatically the strike shifted, collectors may see anywhere from a slight offset to nearly half of the design missing. These errors are especially desirable when the full date and mint mark remain visible because they clearly identify the coin while showcasing the dramatic production mistake. Broad strike errors represent another remarkable category. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the blank planchet during striking, giving the coin its proper diameter and raised rim. If that collar fails to engage correctly, the metal spreads outward without restraint, creating a broader coin with little or no rim. The result is an unusual appearance that experienced collectors instantly recognize. Because broad strike errors are relatively uncommon, well-preserved examples often command substantial premiums. Perhaps even more dramatic are clipped planchet errors. Before coins are struck, blank discs are punched from long sheets of metal. Occasionally, the punching process overlaps the edge of an adjacent blank, leaving a curved section missing from the finished planchet. When that incomplete blank receives its strike, the final coin exhibits a distinctive crescent-shaped clip. Authentic clipped planchets display several diagnostic characteristics that professional grading services use to confirm their originality, making certified examples highly desirable. There is another category that generates tremendous excitement among advanced collectors: die cracks and retained cut errors. As production continued, tremendous pressure gradually weakened working dies. Eventually, small fractures developed, allowing raised lines or unusual blobs of metal to appear on the struck coins. While many die cracks are relatively minor, large retained cuts become spectacular visual features that immediately separate one coin from thousands of ordinary examples. These dramatic die failures tell the story of aging equipment pushed to its mechanical limits during high-speed production. Here's another important reminder. If you happen to own a 1951 wheat penny, resist the temptation to clean it. Countless valuable coins have permanently lost significant value because well-meaning owners polished away decades of natural surface originality. In numismatics, original surfaces are prized. A bright, shiny penny may actually be worth much less than one displaying its untouched natural color. Sometimes, doing absolutely nothing is the smartest financial decision you can make. Condition is equally important. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale, ranging from poor 1 to mint state 70, to evaluate preservation. A circulated 1951 wheat penny may carry only modest value, but an example certified in mint state 67 red or better becomes a completely different story. Full original red luster, razor-sharp strike details, and virtually flawless surfaces are extraordinarily difficult to find after more than 70 years. Every tiny contact mark can influence the final grade, and even a single point increase may multiply the coin's value many times over. Professional authentication has become essential in today's market. Companies such as PCGS and NGC examine coins under magnification, verify authenticity, identify varieties, and assign standardized grades recognized by collectors worldwide. Their certification gives buyers confidence, especially when thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars are involved. Without trusted authentication, even an extraordinary-looking coin may struggle to achieve its full market potential. Now let's address the question everyone has been waiting for. Could a 1951 wheat penny actually be worth as much as $699,000? The answer requires careful understanding. Ordinary 1951 wheat pennies do not sell for anywhere near that figure. However, the numismatic marketplace rewards truly exceptional combinations of rarity, elite condition, unique mint errors, and extraordinary collector demand. A one-of-a-kind or previously unknown error, authenticated by leading grading experts and offered during a competitive major auction, could generate astonishing bidding. The highest prices in coin collecting are almost always reserved for pieces that combine several layers of rarity at the same time. While a $699,000 valuation would represent an extraordinary outlier rather than a typical market price, the possibility of remarkable discoveries is exactly what continues to fuel the excitement of the hobby. The modern coin market has experienced tremendous growth over the past decade. More investors are recognizing rare coins as tangible historical assets, while new collectors continue entering the hobby every year. Unlike many financial assets, truly rare coins cannot simply be manufactured to satisfy increasing demand. Their supply remains permanently limited. As interest grows, competition intensifies, particularly for exceptional certified examples with impressive provenance and documented rarity. This increasing demand helps explain why headline-making auction prices continue capturing worldwide attention. Think about this for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands during your lifetime? Thousands? Tens of thousands? Now imagine if just one of those overlooked coins carried an extraordinary mint error that most people would never recognize. That's what makes coin collecting so addictive. Every handful of change contains possibility. Every inherited collection tells a story. Every forgotten coin album has the potential to surprise even experienced collectors. History has repeatedly shown that remarkable discoveries often happen when ordinary people take a closer look. Families sorting through inherited belongings have uncovered valuable collections. Children searching piggy banks have found key-date coins. Estate sales have revealed forgotten treasures, hidden in dusty boxes for generations. The next exciting discovery doesn't always begin inside a museum or a millionaire's vault. Sometimes it begins on a kitchen table with a magnifying glass and simple curiosity. So before you spend another old wheat penny without looking at it carefully, remember everything you've learned today. Examine the date. Check for the tiny S mint mark beneath the year. Study the lettering for doubling. Inspect the mint mark for signs of repunching. Look for off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or other unusual features. Most importantly, preserve the coin exactly as you found it. A careful inspection today could prevent an expensive mistake tomorrow. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny reminds us that extraordinary value often hides inside ordinary objects. It represents American history, precision manufacturing, unexpected imperfections, and the timeless excitement of discovery. Whether you become a lifelong collector or simply enjoy searching through old change, every coin carries the possibility of revealing something remarkable. That possibility is what keeps millions of collectors searching year after year, hoping the next coin they examine will become the discovery of a lifetime. And if you think today's story was incredible, wait until you see the next coin we'll uncover. There's another forgotten American penny with an even more mysterious history, a legendary mint error, and an auction record that has stunned seasoned collectors. You definitely won't want to miss that one.